According to the Allen, Auglaize, and Hardin County Health Departments, there were a total of 21 overdose deaths reported in 2015. Each of those people a friend, neighbor, or co-worker who fell victim to a growing disease in our area.
We were, in a sense, the family that everybody wanted to be. We lived in a $350,000 house. We had 7 vehicles, all paid cash. You know, life was good.
But Kelly had trouble in her marriage, became depressed, and turned to drugs. Her addiction was short-lived, but she found herself with 2 adult sons using heroin to deal with their own mental health.
There's a really clear link between a person's emotional health and their substance use and their physical health. When someone feels depressed, someone has anxiety, or maybe even something more serious, that affects your whole body.
Many people then try to self-medicate because they don't feel well. And so that's when we start talking about alcohol and other drugs to help themselves feel better. We know self-medication is a misnomer, right? We know alcohol is not a medication. But people sometimes do what they need to do to feel better.
Kelly's youngest son, Andy Tiemann, got clean by the hand of the law. In 2011, we spoke with the 25-year-old on his recovery from heroin addiction.
If you really want to turn your life around, I mean, all you got to do is believe that you can and try.
And he did try, but just a year after that interview, Andy experienced pain from a broken toe. His brother gave him prescription pills, but like with many addicts, pills aren't always enough.
For adults, one of the biggest issues is opiate addiction, prescription pain medication.
After taking the pills, Andy turned to heroin. The next morning, his family found him unresponsive.
I remember the doctor saying, Andy is flatlined 4 times, but we were able to get his heart beating again. And I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. And then she looked me in the eye and she said, but there's no brain activity.
The autopsy revealed an accidental heroin overdose. Andy's death sent his older brother into a downward spiral, turning once again to drugs to numb the pain.
It is a cycle. You maybe start out feeling worried or nervous or depressed, and you start using, and then you start taking pain pills, or in some cases you move to heroin. Well, that just leads to more kind of depression.
Addicts are not bad people. They're people just like you and me, and it might be the family next door, or like me, it might be the person in the other room.
If you or a loved one is suffering from addiction, depression, or other crisis, help is available. You can call the Hope Line 24/7 at 1-800-567-HOPE or 4673 to get connected to the services and help you need. In the studio, Jenna Siffinger, your news now. For a heroin addict, recovery starts with self-motivation. One man shows us if you're committed to getting clean, there are ways to turn your life around. For years, 35-year-old Kevin Oakes has battled a heroin addiction that started back in high school.
You know, it's hard to find help because you're always sick. You know, you're always chasing that one, you know, and you don't even, it's not even like you're getting that high, you're just chasing it to feel better.
After several months of waiting to get into the program, he became one of more than 2,000 patients in treatment at Coleman Behavioral Health last year, using an individualized plan to fight for his recovery.
We know that it's taking individuals an average of 7 attempts before they really begin to walk the walk of recovery, because it's difficult to get through the detox, first of all.
If you're addicted to an opiate, so it could be a pain pill, it could be heroin, then we'll recommend that you get medication-assisted treatment. And that helps deal with the cravings and with the withdrawal process.
For Kevin, those withdrawals include skin crawling, sweating, coughing, and throwing up. After about 3 months on medication, they start to address the mental triggers behind the addiction.
I've done many programs, classes, things, just drug prevention stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do here at Coleman to basically follow the guidelines of the program. And I mean, a lot of people complain about it, but I mean, it's your life. You shouldn't really complain, like they're giving you a chance.
Opiate addicts are also assigned a recovery coach, a former addict who is available 24/7 to guide patients along the path of recovery.
People need someone who's been through it. who really understands the road they're walking down and the challenges that they're experiencing as part of their recovery, because recovery's not easy. I mean, you then have to go back and deal with all the damage that you've done during your time of addiction and the people that you've lost, and those things don't just happen Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Kevin is 13 months into the recommended 2-year treatment process. He calls recovery a full-time job.
Previously, every minute of their day was focused around their next fix. And so what we ask them to do is put every minute of their day focusing on their recovery plan, because it's hard.
They just want to bring you down slowly so that you come off slowly, so that you don't get sick, so, that you don't relapse, all kinds of things taken into consideration.
Does it get easier each day?
It does. Yeah, it does.
If you or someone you know needs help, you can call the Hope Line at 1-800-567-4673 or text 741-741 to get connected to support services. In the studio, Jenna Siffinger, your News Now.
Thank you, Jenna. Coleman Behavioral Health also wants to remind the public of a life-saving antidote for people experiencing an overdose. The Chief Officer of Behavioral Health Services, Tammy Colon, says they carry naloxone or Narcan at all of their locations. She says it's similar to an EpiPen because it reverses the action of the opiates that are flooding the system and can bring someone to the brink of death. Colon encourages all family and friends of people suffering from addiction to ask for a Narcan prescription for emergency situations.
From addiction to salvation, there is a light at the end of the tunnel for heroin addicts. One woman shares her story of getting clean and giving back. Kendra's story starts like many others.
I started out with, like smoking weed and drinking, and then that kind of progressed into doing pain pills. And then from the pain pills, I went to heroin because it was cheaper.
But hers has a happy ending. Kendra landed in prison after an overdose and made a decision that changed her life.
I can remember the exact day I was sitting out on the yard and by myself reading a book and just kind of looking around and couldn't believe that this is what my life had come to, and I made a promise to myself that I would not go back there. I was done with it.
After getting out of prison, she immediately checked into Coleman Behavioral Health and learned how other addicts who got clean are recruited as recovery coaches.
We started identifying them and to say, look, I think you can be really helpful in our efforts to help other people in recovery. Now, that was like giving these individuals a lottery ticket.
Now she gets paid to help people just like her get their lives back.
I feel like it helps people be more comfortable around me, you know what I mean? They know I'm not going to judge them for some of the things they've done because I've done it as well, and it also helps people realize that recovery is possible and they can look and be like, well, if she did it, you know what I mean, I can do it too.
These coaches are part of many ways to extend the war on drugs and mental health into the community.
With our recovery coaches and Coleman Behavior Health and UMADOP, when they have all these things in place, they can refer back to us. So their family and friends, the folks that they're working with, can get this kind of information, especially mental health first aid, to understand, oh, if I see this coming down the path, this is who I need to call.
From prevention to treatment, Mental Health and Recovery Services offers programs for each step of the way. Right
now we have over 400 people currently in active recovery from an opiate addiction, which is kind of the worst addiction there is. And many people get their jobs back, get their families back. There really is hope.
Just take it day by day, and if you can make it through one day and lay your head down at night knowing that you didn't use or get high or anything, that should just give you that much more confidence to do it again the next day.
If you or someone you know needs help, you can call 1-800-567-4673 or text 741-741. And you can find a list of support groups and additional information at hometownstations.com. In the studio, Jenna Siffinger, your News Now.